Life for life versus life for profit. Many practices frequented by humans are knowingly detrimental to animals, but are outweighed by our desires for luxuries and material goods. When done for survival, there is little wrong with these actions. However, when done for personal or human material, non-essential gain, then we begin to dwell towards destructive energy. An example of this is that we hunt the largest animals possible. During hunting, it is common to do this as the biggest kill means they yield more haul. They are worth more. When hunting for survival, this is a positive thing, yielding more food and resources for those surviving off the killing of the creature. When hunting for sport, unnecessarily and/or in the name of evil, profit, selfish means outside of necessity, the positive energy of life for survival is replaced by the negative energy of life for profit. Profit in this sense is any personal gain outside of necessary survival. This includes many facets of luxury, prestige, and preference. The targeting and killing of the largest animals is a natural facet of hunting. This practice does not stem from evil or misguided intentions. Coming as a practice of survival, we want the most resources for ourselves and our tribe. This is a perpetuation of life because we desire the largest prey in order to gather the most resources for our people. Greater consideration isn't needed as the act was necessary and well intended. While not wrong for survival when hunting for sport, such practices can be extremely damaging to the ecosystems, and the victims can span further than the individual who perished at the hand of the hunter. This should be taken into consideration as the killing is for profit, not survival, and is ultimately unnecessary. One example of the unseen ripples of such practices is that many times the largest animals are elders of the communities they belong to. Elder elephants may hold the wisdom of a watering hole, visited many years ago, that is a herd's only chance of survival during a drought. So in that case, a large elephant that is shot for sport might result in an entire herd perishing during a drought 2 years later. While it is true that an elephant shot for survival might yield the same result, the necessity for human survival alleviates us of guilt, as it was something we must do. Circling back to the main point, elder tuna hold the wisdom of past feeding routes that may help their school during a time of need. The greater point I'm making with these examples is that there are more victims at the hand of the hunter than they initially anticipate, and some of our practices show a perpetual disregard for the experience of any others outside of our immediate selves. The difference between life for survival, ironically life for life exchanging their life for our life, and life for profit, their life for our non-essential gain, is ultimately where the energy goes. Life for life is a perpetuation of life, a perpetuation of the creative generating force that creates and animates the world around us. Life for profit exchanges that same animatory energy of the creator for the soulless energy of currency. Life for profit exchanges do convert life energy into a different form of energy, currency. But this newfound energy is a finite one that holds no real value in any means outside of human pertinence. Because of this, such an energy exchange is extremely human-centric and can very easily become detrimental to the greater interests of all life on this planet. It is trading a universal infinite source for a man-made finite source, which leads to a dead end, a stint, which means such trades are ultimately a destructive action. Another way to think about it is like so. Situations of life or death are life and death matters. Making a choice that is necessary for survival, with the only two options being to act or to perish. There are no questions to be called upon such actions. Actions meant to perpetuate life are necessary and sometimes bear the hand of evil and malice, even though they are committed out of love and are ultimately positive. However, when the decision is a life or life matter, meaning that the situation is non-critical and survival will remain undisturbed regardless of which choice is made, introducing or choosing the option of death crosses a line. If survival will remain undisturbed and we go out of our way to take life from another for superficial material or monetary gains, then such an exchange destroys genuine energy and replaces it with a temporary artificial reward that is exponentially less charged than its living counterpart. Through the ever-pervading balancing forces, the universe will strive to bring balance back to this exchange. To highlight this differentiation, let's take an example of two cattle farmers. The first cattle farmer owns a small farm where they raise cattle for milk and beef. It's a humble living. This farmer spends their days maintaining the farm, raising the cows and selling the meat at the local farmer's market. The cows are happy, for the most part, being as the farmer knows that a healthy and happy cow will lead to a better product. The farmer gives them large pastures and clean food. This farmer is not rich and uses the money he makes to feed his family, put a little in savings, and uses the surplus to maintain and update the farm by buying new supplies and even toys for the cows. The farmer is approached by a corporation that wishes to establish a large contract with the farm. The contract will bring much monetary gain to the farmer, though to meet such demand, he would have to push himself and his farm to the maximum capacity. As a result, this would sacrifice his leisure time and the farmland's integrity. Knowing this, the farmer denies the contract, despite the monetary gains it would bring, as he knows that the greater implications of such actions would be exhausting on himself, the land, and also the cows which he makes a living from. The second farmer is in a very similar position. He too owns a small farm where he raises cattle for milk and beef. This farmer also spends his days maintaining the farm, raising the cows and selling the meat at local farmers' markets. However, he aims to minimize overhead while maximizing profits. This leads to the farmer cramming the pastures to their full capacities while feeding the cows the cheapest food sources possible. He uses hormones and drugs to keep the cows healthy, seeing as a normal cow would typically become unhealthy by the conditions of this farm. Because the cow's food source is cheap, it is a less healthy choice for them, and therefore the meat and milk will be of a lesser quality. This farmer is also approached by a corporation that wishes to establish a large contract with the farm. Though it will cost more time and resources and will pack the farm to nearly overcapacity, the farmer accepts the contract with the corporation as it will make them rich. The farmer begins working non-stop, day in and day out, to meet the new demand for their product. The amount of cows needed to be raised steeply increases, and though the farmer expands the land they use, with the payout from the large contract per capita, there are more cows per area of space than prior. The cows now live in close proximity in an unsanitary environment, which results in them becoming sick. The farmer uses more drugs to battle the sicknesses that the cows experience as a result of their new conditions. Notice how the second farmer, in order to increase their money, reduces the cow's quality of life and increases the amount of drugs given to the cows. This reflects the farmer's centric prioritization, a disregard for the experience of the cows in exchange for monetary gain. The conversation of life for life versus life for profit may bring up a question of poachers who survive off the loot of killing animals like elephants and rhinos because they're hunting for survival. The reality of this is that they are not hunting for survival. They are using hunting, a tool for survival, as a tool to make profit, which they then use for their livelihood. Had they been hunting for actual survival, they would certainly take more from their prey than the tusks, leaving the rest of the carcass untouched. This also applies to the fishermen who catch sharks, to then cut off their fins before throwing them back into the ocean to perish. Along with the fishermen who drag massive nets at the bottom of the ocean, obliterating deep-depth animals during the brutal decompression process of surfacing them. They take their pick of the specific animals they're looking for, then throw back the already destroyed remnants of the rest they pulled up. Those who are acting to survive will value their kills, not select the highest priced reward while discarding the rest. In today's current system, there might be some examples of grey areas, where life-for-life surfaces in systems of life-for-profit. For example, factory farm workers trading life for life, working for survival to feed their families, are part of a system that is based in life-for-profit. The sad truth is that many of these workers are in need of a job and take the position with the intention of trading life for life, acting on a love for both their lives and families by taking such jobs. So the truth to this is that yes, these factory workers are not necessarily inherently evil, given that they are merely a cog in the greater system. However, the system that they are a part of is inherently evil in its motivations and practices, meaning they fall beneath the greater system's umbrella. They might intend to trade life for life, using their time in the job in order to feed their family. However, They are a part of a greater system of life for profit, and this will not go unbalanced by the universe. So, even though they may not be subject to balancing forces that result from the greater system of evil that they perpetuate, they will still experience balancing forces as a result of the actions they commit during their time on the job. The universal balancing forces generally will come to workers in these fields, in the field. The environment of major factory farms is not a pleasant one and is often physically toxic to be within. Negative ramifications from working in such intense places can be things such as depression, substance abuse, PTSD, higher rates of suicide and domestic violence, not to mention the physical ramifications of working in wasteful environments that are frequently toxic for humans to be in, leading to respiratory and health problems in workers. Most importantly here, regardless of the floor workers' impact and karmic give and take, the greater system that they are part of is the topic of discussion. Such abhorrent systems cannot be defended because of those working beneath it who are dependent on its success. There is a difference in the individuals working for the greater system and the system itself. Though both are doing bad things, one is working on a greater picture and will lead to greater ramifications, while the other may be hopeless to the winds of fate and merely be doing the best they can in their environment. This is the same contrast between factory farm workers and the greater system of our animal industries. Ultimately, the intention between acting out of life for life and life for profit is a major influencing factor in our interactions with things and their impact on the world. Are we acting selflessly by perpetuating life, even if that means taking a life? Or are we acting selfishly by taking life to perpetuate our material comforts, which ultimately do not exist outside of their own accord, and are effectively a literal dead end for energy? The greater impact of the situation is based on the intention behind the action, because ultimately, life for life is in accordance with our best interest of perpetuating life. Life for profit, while appearing to be a positive human-centric act of discretion, is actually a one-way street towards death and soullessness. Picture a plastic bottle, made for single use, yet once discarded, it lasts for almost forever in the environment of our planet, our finite space. As a species, if we intend to live for as long as possible on this planet, we cannot be bogged down by surface-level luxuries that cause us greater harm in the long run. The short-term impact of actions is one conversation that can be frequented for debate. However, the long-term motivations are where the experience of the individual begins to wane in the light of the experience as a whole.